Good morning. So Tom will, attest to this, but all week long after we said we would take care of this for Carol, I was like, I just want to drop these clothes off and go. We have so many of them. I don't know, I'm not spending my whole day there. I just want to drop the stuff off and go. Yesterday morning, I showed up early. I loaded my car up. I sat there impatiently waiting for everyone else to show up so we could just go and get done. So even before we left to go to the Transformation Center, I think Karen and I both said, we just want to drop and go, right? We don't want to spend the whole day. We got other things to do. So Leslie promised a 30-minute tour. Like, okay, we'll make 30 minutes. So we get there and we park our cars out in front, and they were having a fair yesterday, so they were setting up for the fair. So they immediately put us to work. We're unloading chairs from these tables. I'm like, when are we going to unload the clothes, right? So then next they said, well, the tour's going to be first, and then you could unload the clothes. I'm like, Dennis, where is he? His car was empty. I was like, I should have took the empty car. But so we go in and we sit down and start the tour, right? Well, an hour and a half later, when we were finally finishing the tour, I was, of course, very thankful that we did the tour, that I was forced to do it, and got to listen to all the wonderful things they're doing at the Transformation Center. So I know that the gentleman in charge has been here to speak, but unless you go there, I think you really don't get a feeling for all the different things that they do down there. I said at the end, we need to set up tours for other people to come so they can see all these wonderful things that these people are doing. And then, as you listen, you kind of pick up on something maybe that you might want to help them out with, right? So one of the things that I latched onto was they have a ministry where they just collect purses that we're not using anymore and fill them with things and then give them to the women in the community, right? So I think that will be something that I do here, is like a purse drive where we can just get those purses out of our closets, right, and give them to somebody for a good cause. So go see it. It's amazing.
Linda basically said everything that I was going to say. The same idea about I don't want to go and stay all day. I've got too many things going on. Mother's Day's coming. I've got family going on. It always amazes me where your heart is when you go and do these activities. You get so much more back than what you go in with. And it was just a blessing to me. And again, this couple, Carol and Brian and their daughter Mallory, amaze me. They are living the word. They do everything. It's amazing to me. Anyway, not only is this big old building used for the folks that are coming in, they've got a vision to open up a school. And so they're looking for school supplies. And people have dropped off cafeteria tables. I know I have a basement full of teaching things that I keep thinking, I'll send to Africa. I think I'm going to give it to Baltimore. I have a better connection here. They have a humongous kitchen. They just shared so many stories of their faith. Brian is a man of faith, there's no doubt. They're having visions of afternoon basketball and volleyball. And I went in there still thinking that this was a men's shelter. It is not just a men's shelter. It's a family event helping people gain dignity. They can go weekly on Saturdays. They give them shopping carts to go through and take their items, kind of much like what we have over here with our food storage, but they can get certain items and they just put them in their carts. It is a humongous place, but they just give to this community, and it is amazing. And I think that we have a place to fill and help, and the clothing drive from this little church was amazing. And there was one lady who was there.
We have pictures.
Oh, good. They put them all, there we are. Look, that is what we donated on the stage. That's why we had so many cars going and loading them up and loading them up. it just amazed me how much giving of the hearts in this little church, how we touch so many people. And there was one lady who was taking things out of bags and putting them on hangers and setting them up because the people can come in and take like 2 shirts and a pair of pants on a Saturday or something. So we gave her something to do. But I think, I think there's other things that we all could volunteer, you know, maybe go on a Saturday or go on whatever days there and hang a few things up on hangers. This is a really good place, and I just was amazed. I've said it like 15 times, right? And blessed by the experience. So I think if we can give a little bit more and keep going down there, we'll see what God is doing in the community. Thanks.
Hi. So I know that you guys already heard Brian speak, but we got a chance to hear the story of this place from Carol yesterday, and it reminded me like how much it really is just a story of miracles. Just everything from how they even moved to Baltimore, the building, the stove, like every service that they have, everything fixing up the building, and every ounce of money. They told us about their budget. It's big, and they can't afford it, but it keeps happening. And it just reminded me that like we forget that miracles happen because we think of water and wine, but if this was to be written in 2,000 years from now, it would definitely be loaves and fishes, you know? And I loved about this place that it had a similar feeling to our church, and I think that that's why I connected with it. You know, when I walked in here the first time, it felt like family, and everybody was doing something, and everybody was trying to, like, just give as much as they could. And you see, like, in this teeny little church, I mean, we shouldn't be able to sustain all the things that we do. We shouldn't be able to sustain Backpack Buddies and My Brother's Pantry and the building and everything else, but we do, and it just keeps happening. And this is the same sort of concept that Brian and Carol operate on, that they just put it out there, and then they just have faith, and they just know that God's going to answer whatever call that they have. And you know, they're in over their head. They have this building that is basically a Harry Potter room of requirements. And it's like, oh, well, we're going to put a school here, and people need food here, and we're going to do purses here, and people have counseling, and the neighborhood that they're in is hurting, and a majority of the type of people that come through, they need love so bad, and they need to see it. And we were in the kitchen, and one of the volunteers started talking to us, and she said, you know, I had a resident come to me and say, you know, I can get a hot meal and clothing around here for free anywhere, but I come here and I feel loved. And I really feel like that sets it apart from everywhere else. And, you know, back to the same thing where it's this big thing that they shouldn't be able to handle. Karen kept asking questions about sustainability, and by and large, the answer was, yeah, we don't know. We don't know how we're going to do it, and we don't know where the money's coming from, and we're super broke, but, you know, we're just going to keep doing this because God keeps providing in really big ways. And I feel like this is a really, it's like a really significant discipleship technique that we don't see a lot because it requires so much bravery. But I feel like because of our church and the way that it is, we have a connection to that place already because we're already doing that. And I know for me, like, I want to go back already, and I want to go back a lot, and they said I could take pictures, so I'll be there. But anyways, thanks.
Hello. All right, for me it was a little different experience because I grew up in the area. You know, when we were leaving, Melissa says, Ray, how do we get home? And I said, well, let's go down this alley, go down the next alley. I used to live right there, 2 blocks down. And I said, go down the next alley. I worked there in this another next street down for 40 years. So I watched the neighborhood go from, you know, not the greatest neighborhood to a worse neighborhood. And when you see a place like this, it's just so nice, you know, because there's so many things you see that are so bad. And then you go here, and then you see that they're trying to help the people so much, and it just really made me think a lot, you know, how nice everything is, and that's about all I can say. I'm not a good speaker.
I'm going to be really brief. Brian and Carol were wonderful. It was so nice when Brian came here. It was really nice yesterday because Carol filled in and gave us the tour, and her perspective of just You know, Brian came and said, hey, by the way, we have like a 1-year-old child and a 1-year-old house that we bought, but we're going to move back to Baltimore from Texas and go and just leave that and go and do this on faith. And everything they operated on yesterday was apparent was faith. And, you know, while we're talking and giving the tour, you know, Mallory is cooking hot dogs and putting them together for this little festival that they had for the community. And what I wanted to say was my favorite part was the kids. They had this rock climbing wall, and these kids were like hugging on them, and they were so happy to see them, and just, it's really touching and reaching people in the community. That's it.